folks, and welcome to the Daily Coin. My name is Rory, and today is Wednesday, August the 26th, 2015, and I am very honored and have a great pleasure of speaking with Mr. Bill Holter of the Holter Sinclair collaboration. Bill, how you doing today?
Good, Rory.
And
Pleased to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here, and we have a lot to cover, so let's just get right into it. And I wanted to ask you, I wanted to start with the action on Tuesday, with the equity markets, and what happened yesterday afternoon with the equity markets doing basically, I've got it as a 600 point turnaround. You were saying in your article, look out below, there's a 500 point turnaround. What was that round trip in that last 15 to 20 minutes of the day? What was that all about?
The open was the spike, and we chopped around in positive territory for the day, but it was very, very unimpressive after the Thursday, Friday, Monday sequence. The bounce that they got was pitiful. I mean, I wrote it, if I had to grade it, I would have graded it a C minus or a D plus. It was weak, and I decided to start putting some thoughts together, and this was, I don't know, with 45 minutes or thereabouts left in the trading day. And by the time I sat down and before I even typed one word, the market was unchanged, and I blinked and it was down 24. So I started typing, and within the next 30 minutes we were down another, we chopped around and we were down another 200 points. So it was a flash that equities just evaporated. And apparently, after the fact, there were somewhere around 3.5 billion in sell side orders on the close, and that's what did it. Usually, there's about a half a billion, 600-700 million, one way or the other on the buy side or the sell side. And yesterday, they were all lined up on the sell side.
It was a bloodbath. I know that.
Well, my thought process was, they probably sniffed around in Asia to find out whether or not they were going to be able to open Asia stronger or not. And when they found out that the feel was there was going to be more weakness in Asia, that's why they sold it off. They kind of front ran what Asia did. That was just my opinion.
Okay. Well, that actually makes a lot of sense because there was just enough time for them to actually do that and then get out while they could.
Right.
Okay. And since about April or May of this year, whenever that the Heta Bank in Austria blew up, and within a couple of weeks, a bank over in Germany began having problems because of the Heta Bank's derivatives exposure. And
Right.
I've been of the belief that there's more to come from the Heta Bank going belly up. And with that said, what role is the very opaque derivatives market playing in the equities market that we're seeing here, or is it in the last 5 or 6 days? The equity markets here in the States have been they've been on the downside. And do you think that there's any connection at all, or am I just way off base here?
Well, no, there is some connection. If you look at the various bourses around the world, there's well more than a dozen that are down 30 to 50%. So, yeah, there are some stock markets that are paying attention to it. But like you said, derivatives are opaque, and they so far have been kept under the covers. My guess is just over the last 4 days, some very big and some very important players probably died, and we don't even know it yet.
I would have to agree. Something's happened, and
something snapped.
Yep.
I also believe that if you see interest rates on the 10-year Treasury start to run up and over the 2.4, 2.5% zone, that would show you that, if you want to call it the plunge protection team, the Fed, they'll have lost or be losing control. And you have to understand that all derivatives have an interest rate factor in them. So let's say that you're talking about a cotton derivative or a gold derivative or whatever, or a stock market derivative. They all have interest rates and an interest rate assumption in them, and interest rates moving could turn a cotton derivative from being a profitable derivative to a non-profitable derivative, or vice versa. And the problem with derivatives is there's a winner and a loser. It's a zero-sum game. And if the losers lose so big that they're bankrupted, then they can't pay the winners, and the winners become losers. And that's the problem in derivatives.
And it's a huge
Everyone's
problem.
going to become a loser.
Exactly, because they're all interconnected.
Exactly.
And with that, I mean, we learned yesterday on Tuesday, Bill, that China had dumped somewhere around $100 billion in treasuries over the past week. And I've been,
Brilliant move.
yeah, and I've been waiting for this to happen. And my guess is that this is only the beginning. And
Yeah, I think it is only the beginning, and they sold into strength. They probably could have offloaded $250 billion. They sold into the fear trade. The Treasury's got quite strong bids because of the fear factor, and they sold into that.
do you think that the BRICS, that the other BRICS nations, in particular Russia and India, do you think that they're gonna join in and we're going to start seeing some of these treasuries coming home?
Russia has already sold quite a bit of their treasuries. I think they've sold. Don't quote me on this, but I think they've sold already like 60% of their treasuries, and they had started doing that back last October, November, December, as they were attacked with lower oil prices and the sanctions, the economic sanctions put on them.
Well, then that would make sense since
Well, I
we're
don't think Russia is going to be a big factor. I don't think India is a huge owner of treasuries. I mean, the big one is China,
right.
and of course Japan is another big owner. But Japan does what the U.S. says to do.
Exactly. That's exactly right. As Sean over at SGT likes to call him, the lapdog for the U.S., which is
Yeah,
basically
exactly.
that's about basically what they are. How do you see? Do you think that the Chinese at this point? Do you think that they are done with the devaluations of the yuan, or are we going to see more of that in conjunction with more selling of treasuries? Do you think that those two are going to start working in tandem?
Well, I don't think they're done. They just devalued again last night.
Okay.
So, no, to answer your question, I don't think they're done. I think they're going to. The global GDP pie is no longer growing, and it's probably shrinking. And we're in this currency war at this point where trade nations are racing, fighting each other to devalue their currency the fastest, to keep their slice of the pie the same size or bigger. And it's a function of, call it a function of a Ponzi scheme. You know, you always have to have new money coming in, and if the pie's not growing, but yet you need to grow, the only way to do that is to devalue.
Exactly.
And I think that's what China's doing.
Okay. And as the middle class here in the United States, as it continues to be wiped out, how will we recover once this economic nightmare runs its course? Will there even be a middle class in the States, or what is your analysis telling you that could potentially be on the other side of this whole scheme?
Well, potentially on the other side is the U.S. turns into a third world nation. And I say that because we have no manufacturing left. We probably have no gold left. If you look at, I believe China has accumulated 10,000 ounces or 10,000 tons, and I can show you that on the back of a napkin just based on their imports and their own production, which they do not export.
Right.
If they've accumulated 10,000 tons, where did that come from? Because they're purchasing all or more of global production. It had to come from the only place that gold is stored, and that's Western vaults, and primarily in, call it Fort Knox, West Point, and the Federal Reserve of New York. So China has built up a big gold position, and we've lost our gold position. Our manufacturing is gone, and our infrastructure is old, aged, decrepit. I mean, we have bridges falling down, and China's the opposite. China has a brand new manufacturing base, they have brand new infrastructure, and they have money. They have gold. So you're going to look at, I think you're looking at a flip-flop of power from west to east, and how are we going to recover? I would say very, very slowly. I mean, we're going to have to go back to work, and this is a country that hasn't worked in, let's call it 30 years.
I would agree with that.
I mean, we lived off the fat, we've pushed paper, we've made paper products, and our biggest export are dollars, which are freely created. You know, we're like we got lazy.
You'd say we got very lazy. I mean,
Yes.
the bread and circuses is going to run out soon. And that leads me to September and October. I mean, today we're recording this mid-afternoon on Wednesday, August the 26th. A lot of people have been pointing towards September and October as being, something very dramatic that's going to happen. I mean, is your analysis, are you on board with that as well? Or, I mean, is what we're seeing unfold right now? Is this the beginning? Is the fuse been lit?
Well, Monday was truly a warning shot. Monday, where we opened down 1,000 points and traveled a total, 4,500 or 4,900 Dow points for the day. That was pure illustration that the plunge protection team has lost control. They've lost traction. It tells you that the Fed no longer has your back. It tells you the Fed no longer is a put to the market. So I think the Thursday through Monday, or even through Tuesday sequence is a sign of things to come. And I don't believe we're going to get to November 1st without the markets closing. You know, you can have circuit breakers all you want, but the circuit breakers are going to get thing. Ultimately, they're just going to plug on the markets. That's the way to stop selling.
Is to just shut it down.
And it's like everything is coming to a head. I mean, you have trade contracting, you have economies contracting, you have, from a financial standpoint, the credit markets are hitting the wall. We've hit debt saturation. The time frame of September, October, I could see it all come down in this. And of course, you have the if you want to look at it from the biblical aspect, you have the 7-year Shemitah, which comes due on September 13th, which is a Sunday. And if you go back and you look every 7 years, yes, something does happen every 7 years. Just go back in time, 2008, 2001, 1994, 1987, 1980, 1973, 1966 even. That was the peak of the peak of our markets for many years. So if you go back in time 7 years, that 7-year cycle does in fact exist.
Oh, I'm not arguing that. I mean, it's all there, just like you laid out. I mean, all you have to do is go look at the history, and you can see it with your own eyes.
Right.
I mean, it's clear as a bell. And gold, we touched on gold for just a second, and Jeff Nielsen over at Bullion Bulls Canada, and he explained that China's second official gold holding announcement was a mandatory announcement, as it appeared to reflect gold purchases on the open market. And if this is accurate, he's not 100% sure, and I don't think anyone is. If this is accurate, and we will find out within the next couple of weeks if they make another announcement. If that happens, in your opinion, Bill, how will that affect the gold market?
If it if China starts announcing in chunks of 600 tons or whatever, and it becomes uh, once a month or once every 2 months, gold will go no offer. Gold has been watered down. I mean, the COMEX and LBMA have been running the price of gold, and you have to ask yourself, if there was 124 fake shares of IBM for every one real share that has been filtered into the market, wouldn't the price of IBM stock be diluted? And I think that's what you're seeing with gold, and that's what you're seeing with silver, is that they've been diluted with paper contracts. It's obvious to anyone with 5 fingers on each hand and just counting on your fingers that COMEX can certainly not deliver on the contracts that are outstanding. As a matter of fact, I feel 1,300, is it August, COMEX contracts, and today is the last day. There's still 1,300 contracts, which is, what is that, 1.3 million ounces.
Yep.
That are standing for delivery and have not been delivered on. In the old days, when a contract stood for delivery, bam, it was hit in the first, second, or third day at the beginning of the month. And the reason you would do that is because why would you want to pay storage for the whole month?
Exactly.
And now what's happening is you're getting a backlog to the end of the month. And I'm telling you that the reason that there's a backlog to the end of the month is because the gold isn't there to deliver.
Do you think there's going to be a force majeure? You think that's where we're headed?
Yeah, I absolutely believe there's going to be if it's not called a force majeure, it's going to be non-delivery of some fashion.
Now, the CME has opened up an office in Shanghai as well. I mean, are they going to move their criminal operation out of Chicago and just move it overseas and continue the same game?
Not sure on that one, but I would lay odds that within a year or two, the IMF is going to be based out of Beijing.
Okay.
That would be my guess. That's I've thought that for several months now.
Even though they're at odds with China right now over the SDR deal.
Yeah, they pushed China back a year, but you have to ask yourself, a year from now, how much power is the Western financial system going to have left, and where would the IMF want to? The IMF is going to want to gravitate toward power. And I think a year from now, the power is going to be in Beijing, not Washington.
Oh, absolutely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't know if it'll be a year. I mean, I don't know when it'll be, but it's definitely headed to Beijing. There's no question about that. And
it'll follow the gold.
It always does.
from the beginning of history.
He who has the gold makes the rules, and it's just that simple. And
you got it.
It's amazing to me that these guys talk down to it, call it a pet rock, and call it a barbarous relic. Ben Bernanke actually said that gold is not money, and if gold is not money, Bill, why did all the central banks have it in their vault?
Right, exactly. And isn't it interesting that just over the last year, and even last week, Alan Greenspan has changed his tune and says that gold clearly is money. It's the ultimate money to settle with, and that he's going back to his early days in, what was it, 1966, when he wrote that paper when he was working with Ayn Rand. Clearly is telling people, gold is your safe haven, not the dollar.
Well, let me ask you this, Bill. How do you see silver playing out as we go through these next few weeks of all this turmoil? I mean, silver has been beat and beat and beat. I mean, it got below for just a minute, below $14 this morning.
Right.
I mean, it was
I
couldn't believe it.
Yep.
It is a whip dog.
Yeah, they've been whipping it. I don't know over the next few weeks, because I mean, you could see at some point in time this week, next week, the following week, whatever, you could see a closure of markets, and silver at $14 and gold at whatever it is now, 11.30, and the markets close. And there's your price. There's your paper price. But that's not. It's not the closure that's going to kill you. It's the opening. And the reopening, like Jim said in his interview, silver is going to be gold on steroids. And that is strictly a function of right now the ratio, the silver-gold ratio is 75 to 1, which is ridiculous because silver is taken out of the ground at a ratio of 10 to 1 over gold.
It's a little less than
so
that,
if it was
actually.
strictly a pull it out of the ground ratio, it should be 10 to 1 instead of 75 to 1.
Yeah, exactly. So if it were...
And don't forget that there's way more uses for silver, and there's way more uses every day being discovered for silver. Not just industrial, but you've got solar, you've got medical uses. Silver is going to be in huge demand, and there are no large stockpiles of silver in the world.
No,
there are large stockpiles of gold. Gold has been hoarded. Silver has been dishoarded for years and years and years. Matter of fact, the biggest dishoarding of silver was in the neighborhood of 2 billion ounces by the Manhattan Project. That dates back all the way to World War II. And that was unwound back in the 1990s. I think they were done sometime around 97, 98, 99, something like that.
I knew that we had used that the United States had gotten rid of about 1 billion ounces. I didn't realize that it was 2 billion ounces. That's
yeah. I think the whole thing was 2 billion.
Wow. I mean, and the thing
but
is
it's gone.
Yeah, and it's not coming back. It's not ever coming
right. Once
back.
It's gone. It's gone.
And it's the second most used commodity on the planet right now, second only to oil. And is silver money like gold? Gold is money, but silver's actually been money longer than gold. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct. And I think the best people to ask that question would be the Chinese. And the reason I say that is China grew up as a silver nation.
Yes, they did.
I think in their DNA, if you ask the average Chinese citizen, is silver money, the answer would be yes. Then my answer would be yes, because you're talking about where the power's going and because of the size of their population.
So
China can make silver money. They can force it.
I don't understand why somebody hasn't done that already. I mean, Hugo Salinas Price laid out a beautiful scenario for Greece. He presented it to the technocrat that was in charge of Greece prior to Tsipras being elected back in 2012 for Greece to leave the euro and reintroduce the drachma being silver backed. Why hasn't that happened? I mean, it's on Plata. You can go and see it for yourself. It's on Plata.mx. On
right. I've seen it, and the answer is clearly. It's like, why wouldn't somebody go in with $1 billion or $2 billion and clean out COMEX? Because I mean, you could do it. You could completely clean out all the COMEX inventories for less than $1 billion. And so why hasn't someone done it? Well, if you were the guy doing it, don't you think you would be told, if you want your wife and children to live, you won't do this?
Yes.
I mean, this is about money and power.
I understand. And I think that's why...
I think that's your answer.
Well, I think that's why Tsipras is stepping down also, or resigning.
Right.
I don't think that the referendum, the SNAP referendum that they did a few weeks ago, I don't think it went in the direction that they thought that it was going to go.
Right, exactly. I think the people surprised them.
Yes. And now he's getting out of the way so that they can move to the next chapter.
Put another puppet in.
Exactly.
Right.
Move to the next chapter. Well, and I just don't even see how that whole thing is going to turn out. I mean, it's just like because I thought that they would have left the euro by now and would have been, cut a deal with either Russia or China. And I think that Cyprus, I mean, he actually had two different closed door meetings with Putin, and I thought that for sure. And Putin then invited him to join the BRICS. I mean, there are no G's in BRICS, but he invited Greece to join the BRICS. And
Right, but he withdrew his offer.
oh, he did. I didn't see. I
Yeah,
missed that part.
yeah, the offer was withdrawn, and from a chess playing standpoint, I think it was pretty smart. Just let the West deal with it. It's their problem.
Well, that's true. But
And Russia and China are going to be there to pick up the pieces when they fall
exactly.
for far less than what they'd have to pay now.
That's probably why he pulled out also. We'll
Right,
just go in and clean up after the mess has hit the ground.
exactly.
And now I understand, Bill, that you're still doing some brokerage work with Miles Franklin. Is that right?
Yeah, I've retained a business relationship with them. They're great people. It's a good firm, honest people. And today, this morning, was just out of control. I've got 9 or 10 unsolicited calls from people wanting to buy gold and silver. So what's happened over the last few days has lit a fire under some people, and I speak for the industry. I can tell you personally, this was a very, very busy day, and the demand was through the roof.
Are you getting a lot of calls from new customers, or are these
Yeah, these
established
are all new
customers?
people.
All
Yep, these
brand
were all
new.
new people. Contacted me through my email address, which I put at the bottom of most all of my writings. It's bholter@hotmail.com. People just contacting me saying, I want to buy gold, I want to buy silver, I want to buy both. So yeah, these were all unknown people
Are
to
you
me.
get are you getting orders of size? I mean, are
Yeah, a
these
couple big
more
orders.
okay?
A quarter of a million, half a million. So yeah, there were a couple good sizable orders.
Those are good size orders. I mean,
Yeah,
that's not your typical retail. Send me a tube of Eagles.
right, right.
Wow. Well, that's really cool. I didn't realize that I knew that you were associated with Miles Franklin, and I knew that you were writing with them before the
Right.
Holter Sinclair collaboration was born. But this is good news. I mean, to know
Yeah,
that you're
no, I kept my relationship, and that way, I am able to continue servicing people as far as providing supply of silver and gold, and we also do storage.
okay. Very cool. Well, and you can reach Bill if you need to get gold and silver. You can reach him at bholter@hotmail.com.
That's right.
Well, Bill, we've been at this for about a half hour now, and I think we've covered a lot of ground here. And I certainly appreciate all your time this afternoon. Is there
My
is
pleasure, Rory.
and is there just tell people how they can find your work and tell them what you got going on.
Have partnered with Jim Sinclair. My work can be found on his existing website, jsmindset.com. And we plan over the next, probably starting the beginning of the year, we may be doing some road shows or conferences or whatever.
Well, that sounds
So
great.
still kind of up in the air, but it's a dream come true working with somebody with his intelligence, and I get to bounce ideas off of him and learning a lot in the process.
Well, how cool would that be to be able to bounce an idea off Jim Sinclair, Mr. Gold?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pick up the phone and say, Jim, what do you think of this?
Oh my goodness, that would be a dream come true.
It is.
Well, Bill, once again, I certainly appreciate all your time, and I really, thank you for taking time out to be with me today and to share your ideas and your insight with our audience. And I hope that we can do this again in the future.
It would be my pleasure. Thank you, Rory.
And I guess we will talk with you soon. And just have yourself a good afternoon.
You too.
All right. Thank you so much.